This is Smooth 98.1. Love music, love life on a Monday morning, 17 minutes past 8 a.m. It's that time to get into the world of sports in the locker room. Ayokunmi here. And it's a great time to talk about all the sporting activity that has been going on over the weekend. A great weekend of sporting activity. And, football, Formula One, you name it. We're here to have those conversations. And we being me, and of course, the one, the only. You know her, you love her, Tega Supreme. Good morning to you, Tega. Great to have you in on a Monday morning.
Good morning. I could say good morning, Nigeria, but I realize we have listeners from all over the world. So good morning,
That's right.
everybody. We should have a Monday song, but not everybody likes Monday. So,
True.
except you're a Tottenham Hotspur fan or you're Max Verstappen, then you would like the Monday morning song. All right. So brilliant weekend it was for especially those two entities. One, it's a human being at least. Um, Max Verstappen winning the world championship for the fourth time. Mm-mm. I had to pause before fourth, but you know why. And,
You know
and
what you
then
mean.
and then Tottenham Hotspur scoring, putting four past Manchester City. We'll talk about that in the locker room this morning. Also, from the military games in Abuja, Nigeria topping the medal tables. Last time I checked, it could be more by now, but last time I checked, it was 73 medals. And their closest
Amazing.
competitor was Algeria on 26 medals. So we have dusted the table. All right. So just reporting in from what's happening at the African military games going on in Abuja. We'll also touch a little bit on Barcelona. Hansi Flick's crutch is showing some indiscipline in the children. What is happening with kids these days? They don't have respect. We'll talk about that sometime later in the show. We'll also talk about the Serie A when Napoli looked like they were flying high, but now is they're taking it one day at a time. Sweet people. Okay, so we'll talk about what's happening in the Italian Serie A, but all this and more coming up in the locker room. However, before we do any more talking, Ayokomi, how do you become a part of the locker room this morning?
All right. If you are a part of the locker room yet and you're tuning in for the first time, you are most welcome. And you can join us as always by sharing your messages, sending them in. We love to hear from you. The WhatsApp number is 0809 4440981. 0809 4440981. That is the WhatsApp number. You can also join us on YouTube where we are streaming live at Smooth 981 FM Lagos. Smooth 981 FM Lagos. The studio line is 0201 4489981. 0201 4489981. That we can decide to or not to open, but it's good for you to have the numbers down at your fingertips. Makes things a whole lot easier. All right, let's begin our journey this morning talking about the Super Falcons. Now, head coach Justin Madugu has called up CAF Awards nominee goalkeeper Chiamaka Nodoze, defenders Osinachi Ohale and Ashley Plumpton, and other players among a list of 20 for Saturday's international friendly match against the Le Bleu of France.
I love this. I love the fact that, the Super Falcons are getting involved in friendlies anytime we have a break. And this time, we're playing against France. So we have um, very good rivals or very good opponents. Last time out it was Algeria. Now we're playing against the French in France. So interesting one there to see. And this time around, it's not just the local players. We don't have the number of local players that we did um, when we played against Algeria. Also, the American wing of players have been invited. I think they also have a break, so they can come in to France to play. So the Super Falcons squad is really a huge one. Now, yes, one or two key personnel missing out of injury, but that was what the friendly against Algeria was for. Um,
Mm.
to find out replacements in case some of the big names can come in, and all this in preparation, towards the African Cup of Nations that will take place in Morocco 2020. Well, it was supposed to take place in Morocco 2024. It's now taking place in Morocco 2025. I remember the draws were done over the weekend. Um, and Nigeria people say it's a group of death, but Group A also looks like group of death. Every group now is a group of death in women's football. So let's see how it goes for Nigeria. So yes, after those draws were made, it's important to have friendlies to show our opponents that look, we are preparing to come back and get back our trophy. Yes, I keep saying our trophy because we've won it several times, and we're
Nine
unfortunate to lose
times.
it. Yes, and we're fortunately to lose it last time out in such a poor manner. Um, Lost in the semifinals, lost in the third place match was not a beautiful sight. So let's see how it works out for the Super Falcons when it comes to Morocco 2025. But great to see that we have friendly matches and we're engaging everybody. So we really do have, I don't want to use the terms Team A and Team B. I just want to say we have our starting 11 and we have players that we can call up in case we have
Right.
any injuries or such. Yeah.
Most
So
definitely. Strength in depth is what the Super
depth,
Falcons
yes.
should be all
So
about.
we have,
And for those who don't know, Nigeria is in Group B alongside Tunisia, Algeria, and Botswana as well for WAFCON 2025. All right, let's move over and talk about uh, the man of the moment, Max Verstappen. Now, he says his fourth consecutive world title came after a very challenging season, and he's hungry to bid for more success in 2025.
yeah, season started out well. It was blitzing through through the grid. Everything looked like Max Verstappen was qualifying better. He was winning races, and then something turned around. Everybody started leaving the team, and this thing started falling apart because the center couldn't hold. The
Mm,
good news, I would say, for Max Verstappen and maybe Red Bull is that they had done most of the work required earlier on in the season. And so by the time things started falling apart, everybody was really playing catch up. Now, the team that was looking closest to doing the catch up was McLaren with Lando Norris and um, Oscar Piastri. Unfortunately for them, especially Lando Norris, even when he qualified in pool, he couldn't take advantage of that to maintain the top. I guess he's learning now that it's not necessarily the driver with the fastest car that wins. It's the driver with the fastest car and some expertise that wins. And so he had the fastest car for a long period on the grid. Unfortunately, he couldn't convert those into wins. And so
right.
um, Max Verstappen had created enough buffer and he did just enough. I mean, just think about it. Yesterday gave an indication to the entire story of the season. Max Verstappen
Right.
needed to finish ahead of Lando Norris to win. It didn't matter where he finished, just finish
Just finish
ahead
ahead. That's all.
of Lando Norris. That's all. And so even if he was not the fastest car on the grid, Mercedes came first and second, which is why they've kind of dominated the story. Lewis driving from 10th and finishing in second behind George Russell, who qualified in pole and finished as the winner of the race. Um, and then it was the Ferraris who overtook Max Verstappen. Max Verstappen was third, and then both Ferraris now overtook him on the grid. So Max Verstappen finished fifth, but because he finished ahead of Lando Norris, who finished in sixth, he won the championship yesterday. So he had done the great, like I said, he'd done the best work, the work for to win the championship earlier in the season. And what he did in the second half of the season was managing his results. And I
Mm,
think that's what
just
Lando
doing
Norris,
enough.
yeah, just doing just enough to win. When he was when he had the opportunity, he took advantage. Finished on the podium. When he didn't have the opportunity, he tried as much as possible to finish as high as possible. Um, Something that Lando Norris needs to learn if he's going to contend for the championship. But it was an interesting one to see. I think by next season the field will be a little more level, or maybe Red Bull will be able to sort out their internal crisis and they'll come
Mm,
back stronger. But what it means is Max Verstappen has won his fourth world championship.
that's
And so
that's that cough was
I will
Tega.
forever cough before I count his official numbers. I will forever cough. And so once he's won his fourth World Championship, and the season is, well, officially over for him. What is left is now the Constructors' Championship. McLaren leading in that, and Ferrari doing their best yesterday to pull further away from Red Bull. So let's see
Right.
how it works
Right.
out in the Constructors' Championship.
Let's see how it works out. There's this saying that it's not how you start, it's how you finish. I beg
Yep.
to differ. If Max Verstappen didn't win the first seven of the 10, sorry, win seven of the first 10 races of this season, it probably would have been a different story about him winning his fourth
Yep.
championship.
Yep.
So we
It
need
would
to
have been
start
a
strong.
very different story. Start
Start
strong,
strong, go. Finish strong
start
if
strong, finish
possible.
strong, take advantage of every opportunity you have, because you never know when those points will count.
Most definitely, most
Am I
definitely.
am
All
I
right.
preaching to Manchester City? Okay, Tega, moving on.
Moving on. Before we talk about Manchester City, let's talk about some tennis. As Novak Djokovic announced on Saturday that his retired longtime rival Andy Murray is joining the 24-time Grand Slam winning players coaching team starting at the Australian Open in January.
Yes, this one came out of nowhere. First of all, retired long-time rival. I don't know that Andy Murray was long-time rival. I know, he was. Sometimes they'll say the big four, and especially when Ivan Lendl became his coach and he started winning Grand Slams. So yes, he was part of the top four. But there was the big three inside the top four, and Andy Murray wasn't part of that. So long-time rival. All right. It's like saying Maria Sharapova is Serena's long-time. Take that, moving on. But
Please move on.
but yes, he was a fantastic opponent for Novak Djokovic, especially when he started winning championships and Ivan took over. I think that was when Andy Murray's game, his hard work, and then his dreams came together. Sometimes your game comes together separately from when your dreams come together. And so
Mm,
that was when everything tied together and he won those championships and also won the Olympic medal. But yes, fantastic one for Andy Morris. Fantastic career he had. I don't want me to diminish his career. However, Andy Murray is now coaching um, Novak Djokovic. Is the most out of world thing I ever thought I'd see. Because remember when Djokovic used to play, he didn't have close friends because he didn't want anybody to know his secret.
very guarded.
Very guarded. Now that Andy Murray has retired, he's like, come, you can take all the secrets now. You don't even have the hips to execute what you know. Your hips will lie when it comes to this one. And so it's going to be a tough one. But let's see how this works out. I know Andy Murray is he's very technical. He has a lot of tactics because it wasn't just natural skill that helped him to overcome. It was studying his opposition and then being able to execute that put him in that top four. So, and he also works hard, just like Novak Djokovic. I don't know how this partnership is supposed to last. Is Novak Djokovic supposed to take instructions from Andy Murray, who he beat several times? I don't know how this is going to work, but I mean, Roger Federer took instruction from Lubicic, whom he beat several times when he was playing. So let's see how it works for let's see how it works for
Right.
Novak Djokovic. It's just the weirdest. It's just the weirdest one, but yeah, it's really
Mm.
weird.
Well, there
But
must be
let's see how
something
the
that
partnerships work.
Yeah, there must be something that Novak saw that made him make that decision. We'll probably never know. But like I
Yeah.
said, or like you said, we'll see how this works out come January in the Australian Open. Interesting times ahead in the world of tennis. All right, let's take that quick break. When we come back in, we're going to be talking about the unruly youth out there in Catalonia, Barcelona, and of course, the bad luck they were, or sorry, the luck they had to draw at Celta Vigo. Don't go anywhere. And drink up some water.
Attention all stations, your captain speaking. We are now going to take off in two pension jar. T minus 30 seconds for a secure future. Begin final checks. Access pensions passengers. Check. ARM pensions passengers. Check. Access ARM pensions. Go. Introducing Access ARM Pensions. Bespoke retirement solutions to suit your needs. Access ARM Pensions. It's beat your time. Experience your gateway to excitement. Experts app from Google Play and App Store. You start the chance to start the today. To reach you.
Don't worry. Hey, Bolo, don't tell me.
This is Johnny Drill. You're listening to the Smooth Breakfast Show.
You're welcome back into the locker room on the Smooth Breakfast on Smooth 98.1. Love music, love life, and of course, love sports station as well. Ayokunmi here. Tega is also in with me this morning. We've been talking about all the sporting news and sporting action that has gone on over the weekend. You can also be a part of our discussion, our conversation this morning. We look forward to you sharing your thoughts with us. Please do join us. The WhatsApp number to send those messages to remains 0809 444 0981. 0809 444 0981. The studio line is 0201 4489 981. And of course, on YouTube, we are at Smooth 981 FM Lagos. You can leave your comments there, and I'll take them alongside the WhatsApp messages as we get along. All right, Tega, let's talk about Barcelona and, of course, what happened over the weekend. And their manager, Hansi Flick, said his errant players only had themselves to blame for their 2-2 draw at Celta Vigo in La Liga on Saturday, and they were lucky to go back home with a point. I mean, 2 goals up, and they managed to bottle it at the end of the day.
Exactly. Became Tottenham Hotspur, but it was just a completely different match. So from the start of the match, Celta Vigo were pressing Barcelona. Barcelona's first goal came against the run of play. Barcelona got a breather, released the ball to Rafinha. The ball bounced over the defender who misjudged, and Rafinha put the ball in the back of the net. That was goal one, looking brilliant. And somewhere towards the end of the second half, the referee decided to exercise discretion, because Gerard, who is also, well, kind of a young player, had picked up a yellow card earlier on, and then he went on to foul Iago Aspas. In what people would say is a yellow card offense, but the referee decided, look, you know what, I'm going to exercise discretion and not give you a red. It really incensed the Celta Vigo fans and the player, but hey, what can we say? The referee is the referee, and the reason they put human beings there and not robots is so that we can have some human judgment.
Right.
And ultimately, he didn't send off Gerard, but Hansi Flick had common sense and made a switch at halftime. Unfortunately, couldn't do the same when Kubasi was sent off. Um, and here is the problem. The young players, because maybe because of excitement or exuberance, or they just want to impress, sometimes they misjudge, miscalculate, and they dive into tackles that they shouldn't be lunging into. That's the first part of growth that they will have to go through. They're fantastic, well-talented players, but just that decision making on when to tackle, how to tackle, could be the issue. And they're going that one they can learn over their career. But they pick up a red card, and this is where the problem is. This is where the lack of discipline shows. It was the way they picked up a red card, and they kept playing like we are complete in number. Meanwhile, all through the game, you know that high line that Barcelona plays, they were not disciplined enough to be in tandem. And so Celta Vigo had been breaking that high line on several occasions, but either the goalkeeper or the Celta Vigo player that had the ball did not take advantage of it. So the indiscipline was already showing from the start of the match. Unfortunately, when they picked up that red card and they did not rearrange and re-strategize, the evidence came in a 2-2 draw. Could have been worse. They could have lost the match, but ultimately they managed to walk away with the points. What that now means on the table is that because of Real Madrid's win yesterday, where Mbappe scored and Jude Bellingham scored, it has now reduced the gap at the top to 4 points, and Real Madrid have a game in hand.
Right,
So
right, they do.
So the La Liga title is not over by any measure.
Not over by any measure. Exciting times out there in the Spanish La Liga. Well, I can say it's not exciting times for the blue half of Manchester. Now, while Pep Guardiola finds himself in uncharted territory, losing 5 consecutive games for the first time in his outstanding managerial career, the Man City boss said sticking together would be key for his players during this calamitous run. This is very unfamiliar territory for Guardiola and, of course, for this Man City side.
As opposed to what? Sticking together as opposed to what? Because they have nothing else to do. This is the middle of they have nowhere else to go. They have to stick together. It's terrible the way they have fallen apart, and it starts from that midfield. We can argue about Haaland not scoring enough goals, and Arsenal fans saying it's because Haaland told Mikel Arteta to be humble. So life is teaching him humility. Some people are saying it's because Rodri was given the Ballon d'Or. That's why Manchester City is losing. I can tell you for free that Manchester City losing is just proving that Rodri actually deserved the Ballon d'Or, because they've been losing since he's not been playing. And he was winning. Yes,
he's such a key man in that midfield.
He's such a key man in that midfield. So the Ballon d'Or seem to have gone to the right person. For those that are making arguments, this argument is working in Rodri's favor. But how many matches did I think Man City had a 96% win rate with Rodri, and they have lost 5 in a row without Rodri. Point proven. All right. But back to what is happening on the field. It comes down, number one, to that midfield not holding up enough. And Gundogan can't do it. Gundogan's job there is to open the opponent's display, but you can't open somebody else's defense when you are struggling to hold your own together. I don't know how to say it. If you're wearing a sundress in the wind, you can't strut, because you have to use your hand to hold on to your dress.
Your movements.
And walk cautiously. That's exactly what Manchester City is doing now. They're wearing a sundress on a windy day. And so it's a tough one for them to go through. And I don't see this ending anytime soon. And the good news for them is that Kevin De Bruyne has come in. How fit is Kevin De Bruyne? Because there's one thing to be physically fit, it's another thing to be match fit. How soon can he come in back at 100% to help them, at least going forward, is a question he will have to answer. But yes, they have to stick together. I'm sure they had a crazy another emergency meeting. They've had one before. It was a shouting match between Pep Guardiola and his team. Now it's going to be a reasoning match, because everybody's going to want to talk. Yeah, 4-0 against Tottenham Hotspur. That was disgraceful at home. That was disgraceful. First of all, you're telling fans to come and watch you. Then fans are coming and they're saying, is this what we are coming to watch? The fans that didn't even want to watch before. It's going to be tough for Pep Guardiola. He shouldn't worry about defending his Premier League title. He should just worry about getting back to winning ways. And the first step to doing that is fixing that midfield and that defense, so they stop conceding goals. That is what they have to look at.
The job doesn't get any easier for them, because their next game is against the Slots Liverpool. So it's going to be a tough one. Definitely going to be a tough one for them to get back to winning ways. But we'll see. Premier League keeps serving us with surprises. All right, let's talk about Manchester United. Of course, they had to settle for a point at Ipswich in Ruben Amorim's first game in charge, despite striker Marcus Rashford providing the perfect start with his 81-second opener.
Yes, the match started. He's flattered to deceive. No, but welcome to Premier League, Amorim, because he came into the match first opportunity. Ahmad dribbled one, dribbled two, jump over another leg, got into the 18-yard, well, got close to the 18-yard box, crossed the ball. Marcus Rashford put the ball in the back of the net. Everybody was like, we are back. Marcus, people were saying that Amorim had unlocked Marcus Rashford. Well, that was 2 minutes into the game. Halfway through the first half, Ipswich Town started coming in. Now you have to recognize from Ipswich Town, they have lost a few matches, but if you watch any Ipswich Town matches, they create chances, they score goals. The problem is that they just give up a lot of goals too.
Right.
So
right.
so they score goals, but they give up a lot of goals. So after Manchester United scored that goal, if you had been watching Ipswich Town, you should have known that they were going to find opportunities, especially at home. They were going to create opportunities and they were going to try and score a few goals. And so Manchester United should have taken advantage of some of the chances that they had to put some distance between them and Ipswich Town, but they didn't. And then Ipswich came back in the second half to score that goal. Yes, there was a deflection, but Ipswich
It was a good
eventually
goal
defended.
regardless.
Yeah, it was a good goal. They even deserved it at the end of the day because they had created chance after chance. They just didn't have the quality to finish. So at the end of the day, it ended in a 1-1 draw. Amorim is going to find out very quickly that Manchester United is not about how brilliantly they start the match. It's playing brilliantly for 95 minutes. And I say 95 minutes because I'm adding all the injury times. But it's how brilliantly they can play for the entirety of the match is going to be the issue. And I'm just smiling, thinking of what Ruud van Nistelrooy will be saying. He'll probably be looking at his newly manicured nails and saying, you really should have kept me. I have the secret. And ultimately, Amorim didn't. And so his first match against Ipswich Town, which I thought was the perfect match for him to start his tenure in and maybe get a few points on the board, now turns out to be a match that is a reality check. So it's a draw against Ipswich Town. It could get better from here, or it could get worse. You never know with Manchester United.
You never ever know. Still early days in Ruben Amorim's tenure at the club. So we shall see where things actually pan out. Tega, do you want to quickly talk about Lukaku and Napoli really, really quickly and before we take us
Yes,
to
I
the
just want
London?
to mention Inter Milan went briefly to the top of the table. To They went to the top of the table very briefly after their win against Verona. Then, unfortunately or fortunately, Napoli came back in with also a 1-0 margin on Sunday to go back to the top of the table by 1 point. So it's neck and neck in the Italian Serie A. I think the only place that there is any gap is in the Premier League, where Liverpool are now leading the table by 8 points clear. And the slot is trying to be wise, saying that Arsenal was leading by 8 points and Manchester City came to catch up. But with the way Arne Slot and Liverpool, sometimes they play brilliantly and get the results. Sometimes they find a way to get the results. But what it is that Premier League, 8 points clear, looking kind of done with this Arne Slot team. Other leagues, we are still looking for the leaders.
That's right. Top of the Serie A table looking tighter than third mainland bridge traffic in rush hour. I mean, it's just a 4 point gap between first and seventh out there in Serie A. Great race going on out there. Oh, let's take messages. Onolapo says, I believe the former interim manager should have been allowed to stay. Man United would have won yesterday's match. How do you know they would have won? They were actually lucky not to lose. Good showing by Onana. He may keep his place. Tyre says, Chelsea used their 42 players to sack family man Steve Cooper from Leicester. No shame. My hate watch was a success. Pep and Sons want to turn a whole EPL to family affair. This was that he signed 2 extra years. We'll be here to witness more of this. It's like Amrim's hair will turn gray before he leaves that club. Before his first match, he was saying he's relaxed and everything. Make EPL pressure no wonder before Ayo starts to deny him. Tayo, let's calm down. Let's calm down. Michael says, in the words of Holland to Holland, be humble. Pep, I wish you soonest recovery. I don't. Odegaard was also key to Arsenal's midfield. Away from Miniru says, Man City under Pep Guardiola over the years have a history of always coming from behind to win the Premier League at the end of the day. And at those times, they didn't lose 5 in a row. Hopefully, Liverpool will not let that happen this season. As for Hansi Flick's boys, they need to be disciplined. Now is the time to bring out the cane. I recommend 10 strokes each for everybody. You want to flog millionaires. Let's calm down. Let's calm down. Big Mayor says, for the first time, sorry, first there was the chosen one. Later, there was the special one. Now, there's the 1-1. Okay. All right. Let me go to YouTube really quickly, take messages here. Uche Nawokoye says, United, same set of players, being erratic in their play till they step up and do better. Our results will remain the same. Time to let go of
Yeah.
Rashford. City on the down, Liverpool powering on. Big Mayor says, Man City honored Rodri before the game, and then Tottenham dishonored the entire stadium. Tottenham visited Manchester blue and red with 7 goals scored and 2 clean sheets. Talk about landlord. Well done. LK Adorobo says, we must speak about City and the demolishing by Spurs, losing 5 games in a row. If it were to be another team, the media will be calling for the coach's head. We just signed a new contract. Let's calm down. Anyways, we really need to run. Thank you for the messages. And thank you, as always, Tega, for joining us on the locker room.
Yes, thank you so much, everybody, for sending your messages, and have a great week.
All right. Have a great week, Tega. Looking forward to seeing you on Wednesday. And of course, you being a part of the show as well. Keep it tuned to the Smooth Breakfast. The show continues as we journey along to 9 o'clock. And of course, a conversation on Lagos Talks.